Hi, and welcome back to Hey Doc, What's Up? Last session, what we talked about was the concept of what is your menstrual cycle and tried to tie it to age-appropriate menstrual career. So today what I want to do is actually dive into what is your menstrual career? And good heavens, can't I just retire from that career? Well, your body's going to help you make that decision. Maybe the right timing that you are also agreeing with, but maybe at a timing you don't agree with. So again, what is your menstrual career? It is from puberty, when your pituitary gland, this gland up in the middle of an intersection between your temples and right above your eyes, that pituitary gland is what's going to turn on when you hit puberty, approximately age 12 and a half to 13 in the US. That pituitary gland then sends messages out to your hormone organs in your body. So it's going to, for female and male hormone, send signals from your pituitary down to your ovaries. And that's what signals to your ovaries it's time to wake up, it's time to go to work, it's time to have your menstrual cycle. But that menstrual cycle is going to be different in your teens, then in your 20s, then in your 30s, 40s, and then when you finally do stop and no longer have periods in your 50s. So what does that look like? Well, if you think about it, there has to be some sort of rhyme or reason. We don't just start and then just stop. So what happens is in our teens, basically from age 12 until age 20, we kind of kickstart our way up to 100th percentile of making enough female hormone, the solid line, in your 20s. And that's going to go somewhere between the 100th and 90th percentile in your 20s. That's why women in their 20s generally don't have difficulty becoming pregnant, don't usually have irregular cycles or irregular bleeding, but there are always variations on that theme, correct? We all know that. But in your 20s, this is a much more predictable amount of hormone that you make. Then in your 30s, you actually have some variation on the theme in your 30s, anywhere from 90th to about 75th percentile. Still relatively easy for you to make adequate hormone, adequate stable cycling, adequate ability to be able to get pregnant. Where things get a little bit dicey, as you can already see, is this decade of your 40s. Holy smokes, can that be a roller coaster ride? And it can be anything from soup to nuts. You can have estradiol and progesterone levels that are down at the 5th, 10th percentile one month, and they can be up at the 75th percentile the next month. And so there's not any particular rhythm that every one person is going to do. Everyone has their own genetically determined rhythm that they're going to do. But here's the real surprise that you guys get clued in on that nobody else knows. Guess what really happens in this decade of your adolescence? The same thing that happens over here, guess what happens over here? Really? That same crazy schizophrenic up and down of your female hormones is as schizophrenic over here in your teenage years. No wonder your teenage years were so crazy. No wonder you had no real idea what was going on, because your mom didn't know, because nobody really teaches women these graphs. You might have seen this graph in high school chemistry or biology class, but I will guarantee you, you've never seen this graph. And so to know that if you average then the craziness of this, even if it's over here, and you average that, and then you bring it down and you average this, you've just made a bell curve. Wow. That concept is huge, because what it really tells you is that there is science behind your crazy schizophrenic cycles. What a concept. There's science to how our body works. Well, most docs are never taught this concept of a bell curve. They're never taught that. So they don't really know how to help you or counsel you. They simply know how to override you. So if you get into schizophrenic, crazy hormone times, their best answer is, well, hormone levels jump all over the place, so checking your levels is usually not helpful. I will guarantee you they will use that statement on you. My statement is, know if your levels are appropriate for your age. And if you are in your 20s, but you are getting levels that are measuring out as if you're in your later 40s, that's a problem. You are not fitting your bell curve. And if you're not fitting your bell curve, why not? If you are fitting your bell curve, there are other reasons that you may still have issues, but more importantly, I'm going to also talk to you about the fact that your female usually is going to be more than your male. There are conditions where that doesn't happen either. My goodness, this gets complicated. It sure does. And when you're living in your body day to day, cycle to cycle, it can even get more complicated. But remember the basics. Bell curve, and that there are age-appropriate numbers and percentiles, therefore, for where you should be in your menstrual cycle based on your age. So I know this sounds confusing. I know this sounds like, holy smokes, I'm going to have to listen to this one again. But this is the kind of stuff that your doctor knows. This is the kind of stuff your doctor doesn't know and will simply tell you. We can override anything crazy that you have going on. I'm here to tell you, don't override it. Get to the root cause. Figure out what may be going on, what may be off, and how that may reflect over on this graph. Now you are in control of your body, of your symptoms, and your cycle. So stay tuned for next time. Hey Doc, what's up?